please take the roll.
Holly Levine. Here. Mark Satterley. Rich Flynn.
Here.
Mike Kurtz. Bob McAfee. Jim Dozy.
Here.
LaDonna Allen.
Here.
Roger Spencer.
Here.
Would you all rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance and the invocation? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? Eternal God, as we begin another meeting of the Board of Alderman of the City of Carl Junction, we ask that you arouse in our hearts a hunger and a thirst for justice and peace, so that our actions will be guided by the desire to secure justice and equality for every member of our community. In your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Next, if everyone has looked over the agenda, we need an approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda tonight.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Holly. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. 5-0 with 3 absent. Next, the consent agenda, approval of past minutes and expenditures. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Roger, second by Rick. Flynn, all those in favor, raise your right hand. 5 in the affirmative with 3 absent. It is approved. Next on the agenda, public forum. Would anyone like to speak in public forum? Sorry. Okay, and if no one wants to speak in public forum, we will move right on. Next, discussion of the wastewater INI contaminant activity report. Steve, you want to?
If you guys remember, a while back, we signed a contract with Geosyntec for some contaminant testing, and with Trek for some flow monitoring in our sewer system. Both of those have been completed. The only report we have in so far is on the INI, which Algier Martin did that one. I sent you the first, I sent you about 20 pages, 10 pages of that, which is kind of the summary of a 200-page report. And what we learned out of it is several basins, and the city is divided up into basins of flow where things come from. And 2 of the most significant impacted basins are over off of Karen Drive and that area in behind the old grocery store, all of that. It had a really high inflow rate. And the other one was over here at Redwood, Deerfield, excuse me. And then the third one was kind of South Main and south that direction, some of the older stuff down and through there. So what they will do with this, along with the contaminant report, which was for the lead and the zinc, finding out what our levels were, they'll take that, and we've got a meeting coming up with DNR, and our permit is actually expired now for the wastewater treatment plant, and until they could get all of this stuff done, DNR allowed that to happen. And what we're going to do is we'll go to DNR with all of this information, and by we, I mean Trek, Geosyntec, Algier Martin, and the city, and request a extension so that they do not put lead and zinc levels on us that we have to try to attain. And we're going to ask them for 25 years to do this. And we've got the flow report, which is a big deal with them, identifying the areas so that they will see that we're actually working on it, and we've made significant impact with our I&I work to begin with. And the other part of it is the contaminant. Historically, we've been able to prove now historically that the water in Center Creek is cleaner now than what it used to be. And that our lead and zinc levels in our fluent are not contributing to that. So we'll, with those two reports together, when we talk to DNR, we should be able to, everybody is pretty upbeat about the possibility that we will get this and not be put under a compliance order, basically is what would happen. So there's a lot of information in there. I've got, if you want to look at one of those reports, I've got multiple copies. You want some light reading for an evening, there's some pretty pictures in there.
So the three spots you mentioned for high inflow
Yes, high inflow
of lead and zinc.
of just water to begin with. During a rain event, you could see a significant increase in the flow numbers from those areas.
Deerfield Estates over in there, how old are those pipes very old? Those lines?
They
Not
are
really.
they are plastic. Everything over there is plastic. And they've been in the ground. I've lost the name of the guy that started developing that at the very beginning. But they're 25 years old.
Not bad.
And we're probably not real sure how they were put in, whether they were properly bedded or not, because we found a whole lot of those plastic lines that are 20 years old that weren't put in properly. No proper bedding was put in around them to keep them so that they were able to move. So some of those lines are put in there and they're just compacted over the top of, and they're not allowed to move like they should with, expand and contract.
Did the developer put those?
Oh yeah.
So we won't know anything more until after your meeting, like what our plan of action, if we need to start smoke testing.
Yeah, and that's part of it that Algier is working on right now is a plan of action of how we can attack these three basins going forward. And we'll want to show that information to DNR that we have a plan in place and that we can, start
That's
that.
this week that you meet with them?
Next week. Yes.
All right. Well, lots of information. Thank you for not including the full 200. Whatever.
Yeah, there's some nice graphs, some flow charts, and,
They're pretty.
pretty pictures. And,
I don't know how pretty basins can be, but. Does anyone else have any questions for Steve or discussion on the report? I guess we're just kind of in a holding mode. What is worst case scenario if you go, since we are waiting on our permit renewal?
they could slap some pretty stiff requirements on testing and measuring and standards that are probably impossible to meet. There's no economical or feasible way of removing lead and zinc from effluent. Just scientifically, you can't without creating some other type of a biohazard. The only proven way is doing it the way Webb City does it, which took them years to put in place, was that watershed that they developed over there for theirs, that it flows through a wetlands and the plants absorb the lead and the zinc. And at that point, you can actually cut and bale, the greenery and sell it. It's okay, because it's in the plant. It's not, human consumable, I guess, and it doesn't affect some animals the way it does us, but it does a human, especially babies.
Is that something feasible we could do here?
Right amount of money.
Budget committee? No. All right. Okay, if nothing else, we will move on to ordinances. We have an ordinance to approve a change order for the Center Creek Bank Stabilization Project.
Make a motion, we put this on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Rogers, second by Rick to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Would the clerk read the title?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 to an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Jeff Asbell Excavating and Trucking Incorporated to complete the 2022 bank stabilization repair for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri. Said change order number 1 being for less materials used for a total decreased cost of $31,237.69 and decreasing the total contract cost to $71,427.16 and authorizing the mayor to execute said change order number 1 for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Any discussion? It's a good thing we're saving money.
Yes.
Nothing? All right. If no discussion, I'd entertain a motion to put it on second reading.
I'm going to put it on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Rick Flynn, second by Roger to put this on second reading by title only. Will clerk read the title?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 to an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Jeff Asbell Excavating and Trucking Incorporated to complete the 2022 bank stabilization repair for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri. Said change order number 1 being for less materials used for a total decreased cost of $31,237.69 and decreasing the total contract cost to $71,427.16 and authorizing the mayor to execute said change order number 1 for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Any further discussion?
The stabilization repair is completed, right?
It is. Yes, sir.
And I assume the change order, they went ahead and took back, we didn't keep the rock.
No, they didn't even pick it up at the quarry, so.
Make a motion, we put this forward on final passage.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Roger, second by Holly to put this on final passage. This is a hand vote, to go to electronic vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5 in the affirmative, 3 absent. Are we ready to electronic vote? Hopefully it's working. Steve, you'll have to announce the results of the vote.
5 in favor, 3 absent.
Okay, the ordinance passes. Elena, what is our ordinance?
2226.
All right, thank you. Moving on to report, administrator's report. Did everybody get a chance to look over Steve's report? And does anyone have any comments or questions for the city administrator? They make your job too easy. Nothing for the city administrator. Okay, moving on, treasurer's report. It was in our packet. I looked over it. I don't know. Does anyone have any questions, comments? And do you like receiving that report in that format? If not, department reports. Police department. Anybody have any questions, comments for the police or comments about the report? I will update, I'm sure, maybe the PD already knows it, but the incident that is on the police report this time involving the issue on Anita Plaza, Judge John Nicholas released Chad Cargill on his own recognizance.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna go over, was that happened on September 23rd, Friday.
A lady called in suspicious mail trying to sell her a firearm and then showed her some drugs. We located him coming out of the Casey store. He's reported to be homeless, but he is a convicted felon. And we located a loaded firearm in his waistband, also carrying a new crossbow in a big bag. He was going between residences where there were some children playing. So there's a little bit of concern there, but we did take him into custody. They did file charges on him, but apparently he's been released without bond. So,
Without bond, and online records don't show any special conditions for police. So he's going to be back to door-to-door sales, I guess? I'm
Yeah.
not certain what he's doing at this point.
hopefully he won't come back here, but
If he comes in for a peddler's license, you all might let Mark know.
we did get the new SUV in today, so the old car is getting stripped in Springfield now, and won't be too long before the new SUV's in service. We have rotated some shifts or switched them up a little bit now, where we got several officers that are really involved in making car stops, getting a lot of drug arrests, and working with the drug task force. So there will be some more progress made in that area that they're looking at. And our annual Shop with the Cop program is getting ready to kick off. We just started sending out letters last week, so have that in mind and look for volunteers and donations.
Do you have a date yet?
We do. It's December 11th, I believe. And that's a Saturday.
I would assume you're going to have a lot of families.
December 10th.
I appreciate seeing the cooperation with the drug task force. I think that's a good thing right now.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions for the chief? Okay, if not, what else did we have in this week? Yeah, Public Works.
The only thing to add to that is that we had a pretty significant water leak in behind the grocery store that they were able to get fixed.
And we don't have a building inspector report in this packet. I don't think we'll court report.
No, that's first of the month.
Yeah. All right, committee reports. Rick, do you have anything for codes?
Not at this time. Thank you.
I would comment, I know Mr. Talley has prepared, looked into an ordinance for the traffic control, the no cut through traffic control. But that needs to go to your committee first. Do you want to try to get together and?
Could you do that before the next meeting?
Yep.
6:30?
6:30 before the next meeting.
So there, you have something.
I did have something.
You did have something. Public facilities, Mike Burns is out. Does anyone have anything on public facilities?
Mike did bring in to me the foot golf information for out there. Cost us right about $4,500 to put that in place. The equipment needed for it, plus Jay's time and the boys, putting in the cups.
And I was thinking about that. I would like to try to get together, maybe a joint meeting between budget and finance and kind of go over some of the plans so we can see where we're allocating the money and what's going to be available and what budget cycle. Because since the chair wasn't at the budget committee's meetings, see what we're actually going to be incurring under this cycle and what we may hit. But since he is not here tonight, I guess.
Second one in November, possibly.
Probably, unless we set it now and
Do an afternoon one.
we could probably set an afternoon.
Next meeting, we need to talk to him about.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea because I know he's got some stuff going on. We're gonna have a lot of stuff going on in the park, so. Unless anybody has any other thoughts on that, maybe we can meet before we go ahead and approve the meeting.
I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of people will come.
I think it would go over really good. So I think if we can sit down and, put some numbers together. And I don't think right now is the time of year that we're gonna be hitting a big demand for it, so I don't think putting off any discussion of it for a couple weeks for. Budget and finance, really not much going on, except we have to go to that, and we just saved $31,000 tonight, so. Roger, human resources, do you have anything? All right, senior committee, I know we've got the schedule here from the senior center. Steve, did he leave anything else with you as far as?
Well, there's that flyer there that, Jockey Club puts out for some silver or something like that.
I asked him about the schedule and stuff like that. He's got the calendar, what they're having for lunch and stuff like that.
All right, if no one has anything for the committees, unfinished business. Jim, do you have any unfinished business?
I do not.
I do not have any unfinished that I can think of right now.
Nothing.
Roger, nothing. Rick?
Just for maybe Steve, on Remington Circle between 902 and 904, there's a drainage ditch thing we talked about, allowing them or the city to put a fence around that. We talked about that and you said something about if we had easement, I think. Are we going anywhere with that?
Yeah, that's actually on private property. It's outside the boundaries of the 10-foot.
So what would they have to do to put a fence around it? Because it's in their front yard. Right now, they got cautions tape and boogeyman around it or something, but I don't know.
Board of Adjustments?
Yeah, they would have to apply for a variance because, well, depending, I mean, they could put a 4-foot.
Yeah, they just want something to keep the kids from falling in.
A 4-foot fence would be allowable by code. They could put that up. They just have to get a fence permit.
Rick, anything else?
There's the Valley View, the gentleman that called about the duplex or whatever it is. Have you heard any more from him?
Nope.
Holly, any unfinished?
No, nothing.
Steve, unfinished.
No, ma'am.
Crystal?
No, ma'am.
Elena?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Talley, any unfinished business?
Nope.
Chief, any unfinished business?
Nope.
All right. New business. Holly, do you have any new business?
No, nothing for me at this time.
Rick?
No, ma'am.
Roger?
No, ma'am.
I have no new business. Jim?
Nope.
Elena, any new business?
No.
Crystal?
No, ma'am.
Steve, new business. I can always count on you.
Yep, I got a couple of things there. One of them is the leaf pickup schedule. I got with Jay and got that figured out, so we'll get that advertised and we'll get it over to Airport Drive for this year's leaf pickup. I'm sure people are already anxious about it, the way leaves came down this year. Second is, and this is an action item, we have a list of the equipment that we need to auction off this year. I'll need you guys to approve that list so I can get it to auction.
And you will present that.
It'll go to Purple Wave, is who we used
But-
before, because it doesn't cost us anything. And,
But we'll approve it next meeting.
no, if you could approve it this meeting, that would be awesome.
Was it in the packet? Did I miss it?
It's laying there.
You expect me to go through piles?
You've been file hungry this week.
I don't even want to talk about that. Okay, does anybody have any comment on the list that Steve laid in front of us?
Here's the one you want.
I've got the, thank you, I got two of the leaf pickups here, one's marked.
Part of the proceeds of this will be, go to Public Works, back into their equipment. budget, and 2 of the vehicles will go into the police department's equipment budget.
Is machine in motion?
Yes.
I move we approve that list for auction.
Second.
Motion by Rick, second by Roger to approve the list presented for auction items. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5 in the affirmative with 3 absent. Steve, get them listed. There was, I'm sorry, I'm gonna backtrack real quick. Unfinished business, I forgot. Did we ever find out if there is a website date in that contract? Or time frame?
I did not look, but we have training tomorrow for how to add our own content. And she said everything has been migrated over except the old minutes and agendas because we have those about 10 years going back. So she's still working on that, but everything else has been migrated over to each new training.
And
I-
so, oh, sorry,
I did have one unfinished thing. Did you get that?
I hate it when people back. I hate it when you circle back.
Circle back.
I do know we do have at least one new member since we had it before, and some of us probably need new pictures, or we have missing pictures for the website. Do we want to do that before next meeting, maybe, or after next meeting, or something? Crystal, could you shoot some some pictures? Okay.
She's always liked sheep people.
I know. So if anybody needs a picture taken or wants a new picture or whatever, we might plan on being here a few minutes early or doing it right after the meeting. Steve, unfinished business.
Yeah, one of them, you went back to the website and it dawned on me, that was one of the other things that Richard had brought to us was the number of lights that are burnt out. And I did get a hold of Joplin Industrial Electric, and I forget where I was. In Springfield? I think I was in Springfield when the electrician showed up, and I guess he worked most of the day. None of them got fixed. Yeah, whether he wandered around the building and just looked at things or what, we don't know. But and we haven't got a bill from him yet on it, so which is good. But I'll be getting in touch with him again and say, hey, what's up?
Yes. If you could maybe reach out to them tomorrow, because I know that's the last 2 or 3 meetings Richard said.
Yeah.
And I understand. It is
Yep.
It's
It's very aggravating. We've had, of all the items that we've struggled with here in the maintenance side of it, it is an electrician has been the worst. Getting them to show up and do work.
all right. Crystal, any new business? Elena, any new business? Mr. Talley?
No.
Chief, any new business? All right. Does anyone have anything else that we need to cover?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Rick to adjourn, second by Roger. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. We are adjourned.